My name is Lee. I am the Global Events Director for IBL. I will be your co-host for today. The other co-host will be our founder, Miss Ezine Eledo. So I will pass on the floor to her to get us started.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us today on this program. It will be a 30-minute program, and we will be we'll be discussing on the role of women in a depressed economy. And we have our guest speaker, Mr. E.E. Okpa. Mr. E.E. Okpa will be speaking to us on the topic, and just a brief introduction. He's someone I've known for a long time now, and he was a former City of Dallas mayor candidate. He's a member of US Exim Bank and a committee, and he's Commission Admiral in Texas Navy by Texas Governor. He was a student of University of Harvard, I think a first-class student. And he's someone that knows a lot about this particular topic. I remember the first time I met him about 11 years ago. That was the first thing he did mention, how important the role women play in our society is. And that was what exactly made me to speak to my team about him when we were considering the best person to take us on this particular topic. So Mr. E.E. Okpa will be speaking to us in the next within the next 20 minutes on this particular topic. And after that, we'll have question and answer session, which my co-host Lee will be moderating. Just to let you know a bit about the organization. IBL is an organization that was found in the quest to seek for a fair society. The main goal of IBL is to see an equal society, a society whereby every child will have access to education, every young person will have access to good jobs, every young person, in fact, everybody, irrespective of their gender, will be able to have a fair treatment in our society. We just need a just society. So the organization is all about helping the society to do what is right and making sure that everyone is recognized in our society. So just give us a few minutes, and we'll take a few minutes break, about a minute or two, and we'll get back to you. Thank you.
Okay, well, I want to thank everybody, especially Ms. Ezine for putting this together, and your team. I see some beautiful faces all dialed in. And my name is Ejike Edward Okpa, and I'm happy to participate in this event to share my thoughts on what I think about, the role of women in a depressed economy. So, am I now? Is it my floor? Okay. So, but what I like to do is to make this disclosure. I know in the profile, it shows the U.S. Exim Bank SAC committee member. Yes, I am. But I'm not participating as a staff or representative of Exim. Whatever I'm gonna say is all my opinion, has nothing to do with Exim, just like, I'm in so many boards and commissions. So with that said, the role of women in a depressed economy or an economy that is growing is typically the same role women have always played. Every one of us is a product of a woman, and we have moms, we have sisters, we have aunties. So in our economy, women have always been part of things, from our family level to our community to society at large and globally. And what has happened is there's become these gender preferences. You know, when I mean gender preferences, where in some culture, you know, people have this idea that women can or cannot do certain things. I'm a believer that women have the capacity, you know, the ability to do most things. Their limiting factors oftentimes is based on tradition, based on families, based on some countries that prefer their women do nothing except to do certain things. And, you know, historically, even during the Bible days, we've had situations where, you know, women, how many women were mentioned in the Bible, for instance? I mean, you know, the disciples were basically, male. So I guess by default and extension, these things have continued. And in the 21st century, we need to start speaking up. We need to start, you know, pushing aside gender preferences and start to look at who can and can do anything and help countries, societies, families get to the next level. And myself, I come from a family of, you know, a lot of sisters. So I've always leaned and supported activities that my sisters, you know, want to do, and not considering whether they are, you know, because I'm a male, they cannot do it. So in 21st century, that's what we have to do. And in developing countries, you know, myself, born and raised in Nigeria before I came to US, we still have situations where, you know, a lot of our traditions, culture, and gender preferences limit women from doing certain things. You know, I'm an Igbo. In the Igbo tradition, our women, no matter how good they are, most of them cannot be the Igwe or even member of the Igwe Council. Now, here's a contradiction to that. They can run for House of Assembly, they can be governors, senators, CEOs of companies and leaders of institutions, universities, but they can traditionally, they are limited to even be like a Igwe, Oba, Eme, you know, things that they too are able to deliver and make society better. Because I believe women have the natural instinct to nurture, the natural interest to even be more calm during time of crisis. And depressed economy is crisis. And, you know, women, our moms, sisters are oftentimes willing to go and make sacrifices. And mom is more willing to have her kids feed, eat, be comfortable before she, you know, she feeds herself. So why are society still limiting them? Why are society not accommodating them, bringing them on board? And push aside these gender preferences. I think the biggest thing is the gender preferences. I mean, there are certain things women, you know, will not do. A woman is not going to, I mean, just like a man cannot be pregnant, a woman cannot do certain things. But we should overlook those biological limitations and look at mental and physical abilities. And men have sometimes preferred not to have women do things that endanger them. You know, hey, most men would like to go to war and fight, as opposed to having women go in the forefront. So since there are still things that by nature and biology, we have limitations to do. But in overall, to run our economy, run our institutions, go to the highest office in the land, women should be able to, and if there's any legislation that gets in the way of them not doing that, we should fight to have those legislations set aside and include that women are capable of doing the same thing men can do when it comes to politics, economy, religion. I mean, in some churches, women cannot go as high as being a pope. I mean, the Catholic Church, I don't think they will let a woman, you know, get to being a pope or even being a cardinal. So many other things. So there's the institutional limitation, there's cultural limitations, traditional limitations, And we need to fight those things, because when you exclude a significant portion of any economy or society, then you are not getting productivity from those groups. So if you can include everybody, then that is more pie on the table for us to all share in. So I'm a proponent of women inclusion. And, children, yes, because of age, but women that are capable, have the capacity, should join in every economy. And it's more so in developing countries where we try to be modern, but at the same time, we try to lean on tradition. So where we have to find a balance. We have to find a balance in order to do what? Bringing more people into the productive sector of our economy. Whether it's depressed or whether it's growing, we need all hands on deck. We need all hands to plow the farm. We need all hands to process the food. We need all hands to have a say in legislation, in rules and laws that govern how we live collectively. But we start with the family. In most of our families, we don't even let our sisters to speak about things. I mean, there are issues where a family, the girls are not allowed to inherit properties from their own family, just for the fact that they are women. So should we let such a thing exist? I believe that the people that always going to end up with the wrong end of any rules or tradition should be the most vocal and the most active. They should be the one challenging their father, their uncle. Because if you can do that at that level, chances are, if there's any law at this city or community level that gets in the way, you have learned how to speak up. But if you don't speak up, nothing gets done. Even in America at the time, women were not allowed to vote until the 20s. And then in corporations, certain CEO, most companies will not even think of promoting a woman to CEO or chairman level. But all of this are now beginning to do what? Change, but there are still a lot of work to be done. So the biggest solution is what? For the people that feel that they are being marginalized, the people that feel there's a glass ceiling or whatever kind of ceiling that put in their way of achieving their maximum capacity, should be the one pushing it. Because the men that have enjoyed this sort of level will not do it. Everybody wants, it's like a barrier to entry in economics. When you have barrier to entry, somebody who created that barrier is benefited. So my encouragement is for women, no matter the geography where you are, find what the issues are at your family level, at your local level, and begin to do what? Engage in conversation. Because the more of us that are participating in the productive activity of any economy, the more benefits we are going to get. So can you imagine if most countries, population of women are usually more than the men. So you're doing what? You are eliminating those groups from participating. No, I think they should participate. So economy, whether depressed or whether growing, my thing is everybody needs to be involved. And that involvement should be encouraged by laws, rules, regulations, and from time to time, we begin to change them. If gender preferences are noticed in including people in any productive engagement. I think with that, what I like to do is take questions, because again, depressed or undepressed economy, my thing is that everybody needs to be involved. Everybody needs to be engaged. And if there are limitations based on rules, whatever, we should look at it and set it aside, so that the more the merrier, the more the better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. That was a good one coming from you. And like every other person, I have been able to pick up one thing from today's session. when you mentioned that it starts from the family. I think it's one thing all of us need to look into. I've come to realize that most family, I mean, all of these things start from the family. If you're born in a family that share the same initiative that women should be reserved. I mean, very much reserved and not allowed to express themselves in the society, as African term it. You see women trying to shy away from duties, things that they should take up, and because it has become more like a tradition, it seems to be how it should be. But in a situation whereby parents raise their children to make them realize that they both, irrespective of the gender, they have to be able to take up challenges, take up responsibilities, and get things done. If family are able to train their children that way, I think to an extent, the world would be a better place. There won't be a lot of discrimination against women and gender. So thank you very much. I will leave the floor for Lee to go ahead with the question and answer session. Thank you very much.
So once again, just want to say a big thank you for what you said and your insights. I think I will start with a question from myself. It's kind of a question and also kind of a statement, kind of piggybacking off of what Uchenna has just said about the fact that everything starts from the home. So from an advice point of view, we know that saying that it starts from home can sometimes be easier said than done. So for people who are in situations where speaking up can sometimes be a danger, what would your advice be in that sort of situation?
I like to make a reference to John Adams. For those of you who are into the world history or American history, I think he was one of the presidents. He made this quote. He said, "The foundation of every successful society starts from the family." Before somebody is your governor, your vice chancellor, your prime minister, you're somebody's a brother, or father, uncle. And so, back to your question of the danger. No. Why would your father or your brother be a source of danger when you say, hey, how come this is not going on? Remember, if you go in the direction of your fear, your confidence goes up. So sometimes we have this imagined fear that they're going to. We begin to make these assumptions, or they will not let us. And then, by then we take a defeatist attitude and then we default into doing something. My dad was a chief in Nigeria when chief carried weight, and I'm his first son. But I engaged my father, and I encouraged my sisters to engage my father. So we sit in the living room and we ask him questions. Papa, how about this? Papa, how about that? So my family, there's no limitation. In fact, one time, again, I'll give you an example of something simple, because we're raised in the Catholic faith, women don't wear trousers to go to church. And I figured my sister looked very good in trousers. So I said, hey, come on, let's go to church. You put on trousers. Let me see who's going to tell you to go away. And nobody did. People can murmur, people can make comments, but until they physically try to stop you, then they know they are taking their own concerns beyond boundary. So the fear, put the fear aside. I mean, people's parents. I mean, your father should, just like in a family violence situation, if a man is abusing the wife, and if a man is abusing the wife, and the wife runs to the father, say, Papa, my husband is beating me, and the father said, oh, it's okay, that's the way it is. What has that done to the man? What has it done to the man? It has encouraged the man. So don't be afraid. Be afraid of the danger that you can quantify, that is real, that is in front of you. But imagining what somebody's going to do until they do it is a defeatist attitude. Be bold, go for gold, or you are going to be left in the cold without a soul. I mean, if that's going to be a line everybody can remember. So I'm saying for women, my sisters, if any of my sisters call me and say, the husband is doing this, I take it that the husband has disrespected my family. No matter what it is my sister did, you can kick her out. I don't want to be married to you, but don't say, oh, my sister cannot do this, or because I'm married to her, she should sit at home. I'm going to feed her and take care of her. What are you taking care of her for? She has a brain, she has fingers, she has everything that you have, except for certain biological anatomies that are different. So again, what I'm saying is start to engage your family. If your family says, oh, I'm going to leave all the properties to the boys, say, Dad, why? Why are you leaving it to all the boys? So if you have a boy or a son who is stupid, excuse my expression, who is stupid and idiotic because he goes by gender, because he's a boy, he's going to inherit everything. If you say that to your father, he will be like, oh, okay, what do you think? So we'll put it in your will. Begin to put some of these things on paper. In the developing countries, a lot of the things that they enforce or they push ahead, it has no paper reference. They will tell you that's how we've been doing it for centuries. So say, because you've been doing it for centuries, that's how we're going to do it today. Again, I'm about empowering women. I'm about supporting them. I'm about them being bold. I'm about them speaking up. Because if you don't, what happens, you know, what keep happening, we keep happening.
That was a great insight. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'll put the floor open to our guests. Does anyone else have any questions they would like to ask? You can raise your hand or simply speak out. Feel free.
Come on, guys, I don't bite. Go ahead. Ask me anything. Ask me how I did it in America. I mean, you know, of course, you know, that's all part of being confident. You have to be confident about what it is you want to do. I mean, I wasn't born here. I came here just like everybody. And people told me, why people are not going to let me do this? Why people are not going to let me do that? And it's like, why? And I challenged myself. I defied them in order to define me. Because don't you ever make somebody else's experience to victimize you. A lot of us do that. A lot of us look at what has happened to other people and we just become victim by default. Don't do that. Hear their story, understand their story. If you can, you don't have to understand. You say, well, that's you, I'm just gonna go do it. But oftentimes as us, we tended to say, oh, you know, John tried to do this and they refused John or Angela, and I'm not gonna do it. Heck no, times are different, individuals are different. So define yourself in a society by believing that what you wanna do is possible within the law. If the law says you cannot do it, then question the origin of that law and how relevant that law is. How many of us can go to our various villages and say to the Igwe or the Oba or the Eme, how come we don't have women? Who cooks for you when you go home? Who takes care of your baby when you're not here doing, you know? The woman does. But you can't be part of the council. You can't be part of any leadership group that decide what happens in your community. Then that's a void that we need to take care of. I don't. You know, my daughter, I tell my daughter, the White House is available to you because you are born in America. You may not make it over there, but think it's possible. Think you can do it. Anything you want. Like I told you, in the hey, I met her some years ago now. She's pursuing her PhD. I said, go for it. Believe. God is not a partial creator. God didn't make anybody less than anybody else. But human beings have, by their own convenience, by their own comfort, and by their own convoluted way of thinking, you know, they can do it better than you. They have put in those traditions. They have put all those things, and every one of us is falling in line. So it's about time we challenge those things. And you challenge it not by physically fighting, but mentally. because people respect your mental superiority to their own weak traditional values.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. So we are running out of a bit of time. So we'll carry on until the closing remarks from our founder and co-host, Uchenna.
Thank you very much, Lee. Thank you, Mr. E.E. Okpa. Thank you to our 27 participants. Wow. Oh, well, this is our first global event. And from what we see, every one of us is excited to be a member of this program today. We are sincerely happy that you're able to join us. We'll be launching officially in global level in January. And right now we have a lot of programs lined up for the coming year. So just keep checking our website at ladypassionate.org and all our social media at inclusiveness at Lady Passionate. You should be able to see when we have our next program. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everyone. We sincerely appreciate. Sorry, someone has a question, but unfortunately we won't be able to take that question because we are running out of time, but we promise you we will email you the answer. We are going to email him that question and email you the answer. If you could please leave us your email address, that would be very helpful. Thank you very much, everyone. And that will be all for today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Okpa.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr.